Um, Firstly, I want to say namaste to Geeta Tai over here. And to start with, let me say Vande Mataram and good evening to all honorable members, panelists, attendees, and a heartfelt thank you to Bharatiya Vikas Parishad for hosting this wonderful event. Today's topic, empowerment of women ensures a strong nation, is very dear to my heart. It's a topic that I have written prolifically and consistently, about which you can read on my TOI blog and columns published in Punjab Kesari. I would like to start by introducing myself first. My name is Lalita Nijhawan. I'm the National Treasurer of FICCI Flow, now the Global Ambassador of International Women's Entrepreneurial Challenges and Director of Nijhawan Group of Industries. I have worn many hats in my life as a daughter, a developmental psychologist, a wife, a mother, businesswoman, writer, and social activist. I founded my travel boutique, which is now known as Travel Boutique Online, which is a technology company which has a presence in over 100 plus countries. In 2016, I was honored by the President of India for my extensive social work in the field of children's education. After the many accolades and peaks of success that I have achieved in my life, I feel there is much more work to be done. Since childhood, I've had a passion for Indian culture, especially the true history of our Bharat and the importance of our ancient scriptures. I always tell people I don't want to die without knowing my religion more. And today's topic on women's empowerment has a close correlation to our ancient history. Its concept may stem from the West, but the culture of empowerment has always existed in India. Women empowerment is the need of the hour, breaking social stigmas and bringing women and men at par with each other is necessary for the economic development of any nation, as well as the global standing of India. There are many stereotypes and myths about women empowerment that I'll strive to break today. There are many values of the Indian culture that don't quite seem to fit well with postmodern concepts. I will discuss today how we can understand both Indian and Western concept and how ancient Indian culture, our Sanatan Dharma, is truly far ahead of any modern Western date ideology. Empowerment stems from self-respect. It is a process and not a product. We cannot think of empowerment as an end goal. You might see a woman who's successful in her career, but she may not have equal right in her household or vice versa. We should also remember that empowerment is a baton to be passed on from woman to woman. I will give you an example of Indra Nooyi. It is one that I love and share with all my dears and the nearest ones, and today I have decided to share it with you. Indra Nooyi has retired as the CEO of PepsiCo to reach her platform in life. She spent many late nights at work, coming home by 12 or so. One night, she became the president of PepsiCo and reached her home early at 11 p.m. to tell her mother. When she parked the car, she approached her mother and said, with a beaming joy, I have something to tell you, Mom. But her mother interrupted her and said, whatever you are saying can wait, but first go and get milk. Indra was disheartened, but she did bring the milk home. And when she returned, she slammed the milk on the counter and asked her mother, why didn't you ask my husband to get the milk when he had come by 8 o'clock? You know what her mother said? Because he's tired. Then Indra asked, why didn't you ask the help to get the milk? Her mother said that she forgot. Then Indra said, I wanted to tell you, Mom, something very important. I had big news for you today. I've become the president of PepsiCo. But you didn't even listen to me. To this, her mother calmly said, when you enter the home, you're first a daughter, a mother, you leave your crown at the garage. So it is a message that Indra Nooyi has never forgotten. Despite her many successes, she has ensured a healthy balance between home and work life and done her best to remove ego from the household situation. How I take is no matter how successful a woman is, there is a need to bring emotional intelligence to the household and not let the ego of running a department or organization arrive at the dinner table. Empowerment is not about ego. It is not about constantly being on guard for your self respect. It is not simply about power. There are many dynamics a woman has to handle. Empowerment allows women to balance the many dynamics as she chooses. Empowered women should help disempowered women, for there is enough space in this world to share success and happiness with each other. But empowerment doesn't only arise from education, it is brought forward through wisdom and knowledge. Just like Indra Nooyi, my own mother had encouraged me to do well in my studies and inculcated the discipline of hard work. It's a habit that's difficult for me to let go, but has helped me navigate through tough moments of my life. Discipline, dedication, hard work, and focus have been my gift from my mother. Though she herself was from an orthodox background, she always was covered her head. She didn't have the freedom of choice or movement as I did. She encouraged her daughter to become an achiever. That is why I say that empowerment starts at home. To build the character of an empowered woman, her family plays a huge role. You know, the thousands of years ago, the Vedas were written in India. The Vedas are the highest source of knowledge and philosophy. Many of its shlokas are still being interpreted till date. Many of its mysteries have still not been revealed, but the ones that have are held in high reverence. I have been lucky to read Vedas in my childhood. One of the sources of the Vedas was Rishi Agastya. He is touted as one of the greatest sages of our ancient Indian history during the golden age of intellect. Lopamudra, who was the wife of Rishi, wrote the Panchadasi mantra of the Vedas. This by default means that Lopamudra, a woman, a wife on top of that, was considered to have the highest form of intellect to write the Vedas. Rishi Agastya held his wife to be one of equal stature in intelligence, to have her a part of one of the greatest source of wisdom, prosperity, and higher living in the world. It speaks volumes of our ancient Indian culture. This is one of the many proofs of empowerment being a natural state of living in our ancient Indian culture. A key component of empowerment is education, as it empowers women to make more choices that improve their children's health, their well being, and chances of acquiring surviving skills. Furthermore, it empowers women to make choices that improve their welfare, including marrying beyond childhood and having fewer children. Crucially, education can increase women's awareness of their rights, boost their self esteem, and provide them the opportunity to assert their rights. Quite often, a misnomer is observed that women should not be as educated as men, or subjects like engineering are for men primarily. When we see a gender disparity in colleges and in the workforce, how and why that holds true in India today baffles me. Do we not consider Goddess Saraswati as the epitome of knowledge and wisdom? When we place the idol of Lord Ganesha on a student's text, why do we forget the Shiv Purana lists his consorts as Riddhi, Siddhi, and Buddhi? Riddhi, we know, stands for prosperity, Siddhi for spiritual power, and Buddhi for the mental acumen. They're female deities that exemplify our cultures as Earth, Nareshwar, the balance of the masculine and feminine energies. Education and wisdom has strongly been associated with the divine feminine in Bharat, as has empathy and care in the West. Development has a close link to women's empowerment. With implementation of programs and policies that are for empowerment, we see great benefits to entire nations, businesses, communities, and groups. Many world leaders and scholars have argued that sustainable development is impossible without gender equality and women's empowerment. Now, this reminds me of our concept of Srishti, the creation of the earth. Lord Brahma and Goddess Saraswati were both required to create the masculine and feminine elements of the world. Without the balance of both energies, creation could not sustain itself. Lord Brahma desired self-sustaining progeny, and without the support of Goddess Saraswati, this desire could not be fulfilled. This analogy can be used in two ways: to understand the importance of the feminine and the sustenance of the nature, as well as the importance to create a balanced environment which supports women. Our environment, workplace, policies should be geared to enhance the participation of women instead of pushing women to create a masculine identity. Equal rights for men and women are written in the Indian Constitution. Just a sec. Under Articles 14 to 16, discrimination based on gender is strictly prohibited. Indian women received universal suffrage during India's independence in 1947, long before several Western countries granted women the right to vote. Keeping the constitution of a nation, a recent landmark decision for working women was passed by the Government of India. We have seen an increase in maternity leave from 12 weeks to 26 weeks under the Maternity Benefit Act in 2017 for the private sector. This provides a great sense of relief to women who would like to spend time with a newborn child during their formative months. Regarding the role of women in leadership, governance, and politics, India had created history. We are the second country in modern history to have a female leader as the Prime Minister of India in 66. Today, the world rejoices for Kamala Harris as the first female Vice President of the United States. But even though we are a developing nation, we have seen many female leaders rise to prominence in India, lead various political parties and states with a command that is unheard of. Today in the Parliament of India, Draupadi's remarks for justice are written in Sanskrit. And it says, I'll just quote from the Parliament in Sanskrit, Na sa sabha yatra, na santi vridha na the yenak vadanti dharmam, dharmasya no yatra na satyamasti, satyam tadyacham chalam mayo vaishati. In Hindi, it means वह सभा नहीं है जिसमें वृद्ध ना हो, वह वृद्ध नहीं है जो धर्म अनुसार ना बोले, जहां सत्य ना हो वह धर्म नहीं है, जिसमें छल हो वह सत्य नहीं है. Many view Draupadi as a victim of the patriarchy, but recently we have seen a transformation in the interpretation of our classics. Today, we see people realize Draupadi as the daughter of Agni, the holy fire, a woman who was motivated and driven for justice, self-respect, her dignity, and was a true leader of the greatest war in the epochs of Hinduism, the Mahabharata. Women in India has seen an uptick in all fields. In 2019, India saw a pivotal moment in time when two female scientists from the Indian Space Research Organization led Chandrayaan-2, the country's second lunar mission, from its inception to completion in 2019. I remember the day the launch was broadcasted. I remember seeing many more women than men on the field. Another milestone was reached when the Supreme Court upended the government's position on women serving as army commanders in 2020. Women were first inducted into the armed forces in 1992 and have served in multitude of positions. While the issue of women serving in combat roles continues to be a contentious one worldwide, these are instances where Indian women have overcome the glass ceiling in the armed forces. Recently, we have seen Miss India contestants opt to complete their MBBS degree, become IPS officers, despite having the world of glitz and glamour at the doorstep. The women of India are constantly breaking the stereotype that beauty begets a lack of intelligence. On the contrary, we are consistently seeing women on the rise in arenas of intellect and physical endurance that were previously attributed as a man's skill. India's story of women empowerment is incomplete without focusing on grassroots initiatives adopted by the government and civil society organizations. The federal and state governments have launched new schemes, policies, and programs to empower both urban and rural women. Under the leadership of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, we have seen the government launch various nationwide schemes for women. And we all know that, such as Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and Mahila for meeting the aspiration and needs of women entrepreneurs. We have come a long way as a nation to uphold the Constitution of India, the envisioned idealism of our forefathers, but we still have a long way to go further. No other popular religion in the world has female goddesses except for our own. No other dharma holds the female goddess as equal and half of her male counterpart. And no other religion holds an array of female deities that get the characteristics of creative Saraswati, the warrior avatar of Ma Kali. While our children turn towards the West to understand equality, we should turn our heart and minds home to our own culture to find the true essence of balanced living, where true empowerment existed. Though it won't be fair of me to say that empowerment and feminism are new concepts that India has to learn. Rather, I would say that India has to relearn, to revisit, and to reopen the value of our own culture, the root of our being, and the essence of Bharat. With that, I would like to end my speech, and hopefully we have reached a better understanding of women empowerment and our own ancient Indian heritage. Thank you. Vande Mataram.